Winter, 1939. A frozen forest on the Finnish border, temperatures below -40. A single man lies motionless in the snow for hours, breathing through packed snow in his mouth so the vapor won't give him away. He's not using a scope. He doesn't need one. By the time the war ends, the Soviet army will have a name for him: White Death. His name was Simo Häyhä, a farmer, a hunter, barely over 5 feet tall. Nobody who knew him before 1939 would have called him remarkable. Then the Soviet Union invaded Finland with an army roughly 3 times its size, expecting the country to fall within weeks. Häyhä picked up his rifle and walked into the forest. Finland couldn't win a war of numbers, so it fought a war of terrain instead. Small units moved through forests the invaders didn't know, striking and disappearing before artillery could even be aimed. Häyhä wasn't part of some elite unit built for this. He was just a hunter who already understood how to disappear into snow, because he'd been doing it his whole life. Most snipers wanted every advantage technology could offer. Häyhä used iron sights, the same simple aiming system hunters had used for generations. A telescopic sight sits higher off the barrel, forcing your head up. It can glint in the sun and give away your position. He'd rather lose a little precision than lose the one advantage that kept him alive: staying invisible, sometimes for an entire day, in a hole packed into the snow. Over roughly 100 days, Finnish military records credit Häyhä with more than 500 confirmed kills. Some counts, including submachine gun kills, run even higher. No sniper in recorded military history has ever matched that number in that short a window of time. Soviet soldiers started refusing to advance through certain stretches of forest at all. Command sent counter-snipers after him. He outlasted them. Eventually, they gave up trying to outshoot him and simply shelled the entire tree line he was believed to be hiding in. Stories spread about Häyhä that are almost impossible to verify: that he kept a flask on him at all times, that he was drunk through most of it, numb to both the cold and the killing. There's no solid record that any of that is true. What is documented is simpler and honestly stranger. A quiet, sober farmer outshot an entire invading army using a rifle with no scope, in temperatures that killed men just for standing still too long. On March 6th, 1940, an enemy soldier fired an explosive round that struck Häyhä directly in the jaw. It tore apart the lower half of his face in an instant. His own men pulled him out, certain he wouldn't survive the day, let alone the war. He didn't wake up again until March 13th, the exact day the war officially ended. He'd slept through the finish line of his own war without knowing it was over. Häyhä spent months in reconstruction and recovery. His face never quite the same again. He never sought fame from what he'd done, never wrote a memoir, rarely gave interviews. He went back to hunting, bred dogs, lived a quiet rural life for another 60 years. He died in 2002, at 96 years old, largely forgotten by the world outside Finland until decades later, when his story resurfaced online. The legend wants him to be superhuman, fearless, maybe even drunk enough not to feel the cold or the weight of it. The truth is smaller, and somehow heavier. He was just a quiet man with steady hands, who didn't want an empire, or a title, or a story told about him at all. He wanted his own snowy fields back, undisturbed, and turned out to be terrifyingly good at making that happen.